And good morning, Thailand. Thank you for joining us on our, what is it, Wednesday program, middle of the week. I think they used to call it Hump Day. Abel from Find Your Voice Asia. Thank you for joining us today.
Good morning, Tim, and good morning, Thailand.
And all the way from Chiang Mai, our guest today is Sittipong Wongsoomboon. He's the manager, the boss, the head honcho from Touring Centre in Chiang Mai. Nice to have you on the program.
สวัสดีครับ
So, tell us, what's it like in Chiang Mai today? Give us a bit of a quick weather report.
Okay. Well, weather is good, but if you mention about the traffic, is pretty good because since the COVID has come, the traffic is not that really bad. But like you know, it's better to be back.
So, would you like us to call you Sittipong or Chock? That's your Thai nickname.
I think it's easy for you to call me Chock. It's better.
Okay, so any of our people out there, hi, in sort of, what do you call it, listener, viewer land, you can refer to our guest as Kun Chock. So, we'd like to say hello to Will, to Omi, to Robert, to Dirty Old Man. You need to change your name. To Daniel, to Paul, to Fire Guy, David, Mark. Thank you. You're all online, yes, along with some 100 other people. So we thank you very much for joining us, and we'll get to your comments and questions as soon as we can. Abel, let's start by going through some of the key stories today, and what's happening. We'll start off with the current COVID situation. Sad to report there's been another 53 COVID-related deaths in the past 24 hours. That's the highest number of deaths reported in one day since the start of the pandemic. Another 4,786 cases, 127 of those from Thai prisons. So the situation is not really improving, as has been the case for the past couple of weeks. Most of the situation is centred around Bangkok and the surrounding provinces. Also Chonburi, and also the four southernmost provinces in Thailand on the Malaysian border. Now, tomorrow is, of course, the opening of the Sandbox. Whilst all this other stuff is happening around Thailand, we do have Phuket reopening tomorrow, which is really Thailand reopening. It's just that it's starting in Phuket, and you'll be able to travel to other parts of Thailand, including Chiang Mai, but you'll need to stay in Phuket for 14 days first. The Prime Minister will be at the airport tomorrow to welcome people.
Right. That'll be a big celebration.
Expect garlands, expect photographers, expect a coterie of Thai media, and there will be invited people from overseas. Last week, the TAT, the Tourism Authority of Thailand, said there was some 1,500 people arriving on the first day. That's not going to happen. But there will be people arriving tomorrow, and we'll, of course, be keeping tabs on exactly what's going on, where these people are coming on, the flights that are coming in, and the progress of the Sandbox, because it's not just important for Phuket. It's important for the whole of Thailand.
Actually, if you do want to know the updated flight numbers, you can actually go to the AOT website. But it is not up to date, obviously, to the date, because they cannot see the future. So there are updated information, I think on a regular basis, where you can see how many people are coming from where on the AOT website. So go take a look.
So just a question without notice, Kun Chock. We've got Bipolar Punt. His first question is, what are the current restrictions in Chiang Mai?
Well, right now, since I would say the fourth wave, can I say that? Everybody come to Chiang Mai, I mean from Bangkok, from somewhere else, but we still don't really have the restriction from the people who come here, except previously for the four area, the red code area, like that. But other than that is nothing else.
So what about restrictions on things that are closed? You've got bars closed like everywhere else in Thailand. Do you have any curfew or shopping centres closing early?
Right now we are back to almost normal. The shop and everything can still open like regular, but except they cannot sell alcohol in the pubs and bar like that. So which means you can go and sit and dine in regularly.
What are the cases like in Chiang Mai? What are the numbers for COVID cases? Obviously, it's not as bad as Bangkok, right?
Well, not that bad as in Bangkok because a few days ago, I mean, like we start from like 4 or 5 days, we have 10 cases, new
Okay,
cases,
very
and then
little.
after that we have like one and coming up like 1 or 2 like this daily.
Right.
Not that serious.
Chock, could you give us a bit of just an overall picture of what the situation is like in Chiang Mai at the moment? When you sort of walk out into the streets, how are things different now than they were, say, 18 months ago?
Well, 18 months ago, in the daytime, it's pretty crowded, and on the road, I'm sure it's more like in Phuket. Along the side of the road, we usually park the car, and we can barely find a place to parking. But for these 18 months, it's plenty of them. When we walk around town in the daytime, it's like in those days, it's like 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening. So comparing between 18 months ago, I mean before the pandemic, and right now, I would say something is like gone like 80-90%. The school is like you know open and close all the time, and most of the children stay home for doing the online schooling like that.
Yeah, I heard about that too. My sister-in-laws, my nephews and nieces also, they started school for 1 week and then they closed another week. So it must be, a lot of changes as always. We're going to go straight into a question with one of our viewers, Ray Quinn, asking, can tourists still enter Bangkok and do the 14-day hotel quarantine if they don't want to go to Phuket? Shall I answer?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, you can. Even though if you don't want to come to Phuket, you can go straight to Bangkok, but you have to do the quarantine. Yes.
All right, we're going to have a quick break. So hang in there, Chock. We've got plenty of other questions about Chiang Mai for you. Our guest today, Chock, is all the way from Chiang Mai, from the touring centres in Chiang Mai. Hint, hint, if you are going to Chiang Mai in the future, contact them and they'll sort you out with a tour. Abel here from Find Your Voice Asia, and we are The Tiger. We'll be back right after this break. Back on Good Morning Thailand, Wednesday edition. Thank you for joining us on episode number 28. Our guest up in Chiang Mai is Chock from the Touring Centre, and we've got Abel here in the studio with us. We should remind people that tomorrow, actually for a whole week from tomorrow,
exciting.
we're broadcasting from the Wire Cafe in Chiang Mai, Phuket. And they've got a Tiger special breakfast that they've come up with. So you can actually come in and have some breakfast or a coffee. We'll be there from about 8 in the morning, online, live from 9 o'clock. And you can come in and throw things at us or abuse us or even ask some questions and be part of the program. So you can come in and see our whole team. And so that's at the Waya Cafe, Waya, in Cheung Talay from tomorrow for a whole week as we commemorate, celebrate, acknowledge the opening of Thailand again for general travel via Phuket. So you've got a question there for Chock?
Yes, I do. One of our members, Shanil Traveler, have a question for Chock. How heavily impacted are the Loy Krok Road businesses in terms of closure? Chock.
Well, I'm sure that you already know that Loy Krok Road is one road that pretty crowded at nighttime, especially for the foreigner. This is the one of the spots for the nightlife heading to the night bazaar area. But I don't want really mention about Loy Krok, but I would say in general, everybody, every shop, most of the shop, not every, all already closed down, and they're hanging the plate sign like for rental for such a thing like that. But some that still opening, they have no customer at all.
Chock, just a related question from Thai Line, and the question is, are the street markets still running in Chiang Mai?
Yeah, I want to know that too.
The street market, right?
Yes.
The street market, I would say some of them it really did impact, but because most of them is selling the product or the goods to the local as well. So in the beginning, that we have a very strict thing from the government, like they don't they cannot sell or something like that. They have to be closed. That affect them. But previously, they can do the business as usual. But yeah.
Okay, Abel.
And I have a question from Will Rivera, one of our viewers. I have hotels and flights this weekend to Chiang Mai from Bangkok. Do I have to quarantine? My wife and I live in Bangkok. Who would like to answer that? How about Chock?
Okay. From now, I would say the people that from Bangkok, they have to do the quarantine, and I heard that from the hotel themselves, they have to do the report as well.
Yeah.
So the answer is yes.
Yes, 14 days.
So a comment from, where was it? From Manna Flask, who says, so tempted to book a flight to Phuket to troll Tim in person. I dare you.
Tim is an awesome guy, okay? You guys have to come, but be nice to him, all right?
Chock, could you tell us what the situation is with flights to Chiang Mai at the moment? Obviously, up there in northern Thailand, it's very reliant on flights. What's the situation?
Well, right now we used to have like plenty of flight and plenty of the customer, like in the number in the low season it's like 7 to 8,000 a day regularly in the low season. But right now it's around 1,000
Right.
up and down like that.
Okay.
So almost gone.
Yeah. So, Chock, I have a question because Phuket is opening tomorrow. And of course, the people who come to Phuket have to stay here for 14 days, but they can roam around Phuket. They do not have to be confined to any, quarantined accepted hotel. Do you expect, as a representative in Chiang Mai, do you expect many people from Phuket to trigger down to Chiang Mai? Do you have any predictions of numbers, let's say?
Well, we have two scenarios. The first thing we try to open Chiang Mai as a Chiang Mai Sandbox. We need some direct flight from outbound.
Okay.
But yes, the answer is yes, we're waiting for the customer from Phuket because you are the first one who will be there and opening the city for the customer. And we do expect the customer from Phuket, but we know that there's not really much number. So like 10% from Phuket. This is the normal situation that the people come to Thailand and come to Chiang Mai.
Okay.
Right.
Got a note here from Scott D, one of our Tiger members, who says, has the Tiger been invited to the reopening at the airport? Tim, are they keeping you in the loop? No. The Tiger hasn't been invited. We don't seem to be in the good books with the TAT at the moment because, sorry, we've been brutally honest and frank about the current situation and just said the story as it is, as news, and not as propaganda. We're
Just
so
go.
sorry.
Tim, just go.
Yeah, well, we might go up there. There's going to be a lot of press at the airport tomorrow. We'll get some photos. I'm just going to ask you, Chock, before we go for another break, what is the talk about reopening for Chiang Mai? Is there talk about a reopening plan? Something about Charming Chiang Mai?
Yes, we use the Charming ChiangMai for the slogan in reopening because Charming stands for lots of things, including nature and what we be in Chiang Mai. What is our identity? And the plan to open Chiang Mai is actually since the Prime Minister said that they're gonna open within 120 days, which is around 9th of October, something like that.
Middle
but
of
we
October, yeah.
try to do it as best as we can, like 1 month earlier. But if we can reduce the time, we try to do it like late September, like that.
Okay. All right. So, of course, please keep us up to date with anything happening about
Sure.
reopening plans. We'll certainly pass that on. Abel.
Yes, thank you, Chock. I apologize. Sometimes I do get distracted because I have to answer many of the the
problem
comments
at all.
from
No
on
problem at
YouTube as well. So trying to do
That's
many
your
things.
job. That's
Trying
your
to do
job.
many things at once. A question from a member, Chris Kennedy: do Bangkokians have to stay in Phuket for 14 days if traveling domestically?
No. There are specific restrictions for entry domestically by air, land and sea for domestic travellers, expats and Thais in Thailand. You do have to either be fully vaccinated or have a PCR test, I believe, up to 7 days before your arrival. So that documentation is covered also in a story we did at the tiger.com this morning. I think it's called Everything About the Sandbox or Sandbox Details or something like that. There's sort of a greenish bluey, a bit like that colour actually, form that's got some information about domestic arrivals into Phuket during the Sandbox. So we'll direct you to that at the tiger.com. We're going to have another quick break.
Okay.
Then we'll come back and get to more of your questions. We've got more of Chock up there at Touring Centre in Chiang Mai. And we are here on a beautiful sunny day on the island of Phuket, awaiting the arrival of some people tomorrow. And you're on the Tiger. Good morning, Thailand.
Want to keep up to date with what's happening in Thailand? Download the Tiger app. It works on both Android and Apple. And it's free. All the latest news, videos, and information at one click from your phone. Go to your Play Store or App Store and download now.
Really shocked.
Back on Good Morning Thailand. Really appreciate you joining in and joining us live. We're here every day live. Tomorrow we're going to be at the... Why am I waving my pen around? I'll put that down because somebody said it was distracting. We're going to be at the Waya Cafe. WAYA. We'll sort of be there from 7 in the morning, but we'll be busy madly tapping away, getting ready for the program. Live program from there from 9 a.m. They've got a special menu for people coming in and discounts for people that want to come in and enjoy breakfast there. A very good breakfast, actually. And we'll be hopefully enjoying some of their great coffee as well. That's at the Waya Cafe in Chiang Mai. It's probably... How would you say it? The main junction in Chiang Mai? It's pretty hard to miss.
It's called the Cherntalay Bandon Road. So it's Cherntalay-Bandon Road. It's the four-way intersection of Laguna. People say, for the foreigners, we would say it's the four-way intersection at Laguna.
It's Boat Avenue, I think we're meant to say.
Well, Boat Avenue. Just go to Google Maps. Not difficult to look for.
Waya Cafe. That's from tomorrow. I was going to ask you, Chock, up there in Chiang Mai, could you give us a bit of a sense of how people have been able to survive over the past year, especially this latest third wave of COVID, which has really knocked a lot of people sideways? How have people sort of been able to survive up there?
As you know, we have relied on the domestic traveler. This is one, and the other one we have to do something with the local people. So in terms of the hotel, most of them change their way of the business. Like they normally serve everything inside the hotel. They moved up and sell the product to the local people,
Right.
like drive-through food, something like that, and delivery like that. And for the store, the food, like I have mentioned before. Some of them has been closed, but eventually the other part of the business is rise up, like the delivery, the logistic delivery food. So some of them try to apply for that and be a partner of them.
Let me ask, what businesses are thriving in Chiang Mai? Are there any businesses that are thriving at the moment in Chiang Mai?
Food Panda, Grab.
Well, many people know Chiang Mai, that the place of the tourists, but actually in Chiang Mai itself, we are not 100% rely on the tourism.
Right.
So most of the people still have a normal life for selling product, to do the agricultural and some sort of that. So we have the combination, but the tourism is the most effect like that.
And more personally, how have you been able to survive?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, try to do something, this and that, and honestly, we have a loan from the bank.
Okay.
They help us a lot.
When you say this and that, what are you talking about? Drug trafficking or what's the this and that?
Well, we try to change the business model.
Yes.
We try to do some shooting. We try to do some online marketing, but it's not that going that well.
Yeah.
So we try to come back to focus on our our way of business to do the traveling.
Thank you, Chock. I have a quick question by one of our viewers online for Tim, Stephen K. Tim, do the Thai girls often swoon over your baby blue eyes?
No. They have to sort of see through all the wrinkles first. No, the Thai girls don't swoon over my baby blue eyes.
And I do have a few questions about people coming back to Phuket. And see, I have lost the question already. How many people are expected to arrive in Phuket tomorrow by Wayne Atkinson?
Well,
Do we know that?
TAT said 1,500 last week. I think they've revised that down. The situation is they've got, what do you call them? Influencers coming in. They've got some guests
Right.
coming in. There will be arrivals from Bangkok. All the people will arrive in their ties and their pins, and there'll be photo opportunities and garlands abound. There won't be 1,500 people arriving from overseas specifically to travel in Phuket. But what starts with 100 will become 200. It will become 1,000 eventually. At some stage, Thailand does need to start. And I know the Sandbox seems to be overly restrictive. It seems to be very difficult. But there are some people who really need to get back to Thailand. And there's going to be the people that want to get back to their homes, for example, in Chiang Mai, to their condos in Bangkok. And this is a way that they can do it. It's about as restrictive as the old ASQ, the only difference being, of course, that you've got the whole of Phuket to roam around for your 14 days before you travel to other parts of Thailand.
And I want to add, there's a lot of questions in general about, we miss Phuket, we miss Thailand, we have to wait until November, et cetera, to come back in. I feel your pain. Of course, we are living here on this paradise, on the paradise, so we do not feel as much. But for those of you who are, stuck or missing your families here, we feel for you. And for the tourist who plans to come, I just saw some really amazing deals sent to me by some friends. For example, at the Travel Zoo, they have amazing deals for 4- and 5-star hotels in Phuket, for example, and other places. And, Phuket is considered, as well as Khao Lak, is top 10 islands in Asia by Travel and Leisure in 2020. And the prices for 7 nights in 5-star hotels in Phuket start from $469 for 2 people. And some of these specials extend until 2023.
Well, that definitely is very, very cheap. Obviously, just check all the details before you book anything.
Exactly.
And if you are coming to Phuket in the next couple of weeks, you really need to contact your embassy before you book anything, just to make sure that you have got all the details sorted out. Chock, we'll say goodbye to you at this stage and get on with some other questions and some other matters. But good luck up there in Chiang Mai. Thank you very much for your time. You've given us a really good painting of what's happening up there. And we wish you well, and we might get you back online in a few more weeks and see how things have improved and if anybody's seeped through the sandbox and made their way up to Chiang Mai.
So
Thank
great
you.
to see you,
Thank you.
Chock. See you
Thank
soon.
Apple. สวัสดีครับ
See you. สวัสดีค่ะ
See you later. Thank you very much.
Bye.
That's Kun Chock there, Sittipong Wongsoomboon, and he's from Touring Centre in Chiang Mai. Great to have him online. Abel, some good news. Well, not so much good news for for Thailand, but for digital nomads. Now, you might be aware that digital nomads have had a pretty difficult time in Thailand because there's no specific visa that really suits them. Some of them get ED visas, some of them do visa runs, border runs. Some of them get other sort of visas that may allow them to stay, but there's no specific visa. There's been the smart visa, but they have to be very highly qualified.
Right.
Bali, of all places, so the Indonesian government, digital nomads in Bali will be granted a 5-year visa, according to Indonesia's tourism minister. So the idea is that they'll be able to get a 5-year visa with no taxes on their foreign sourced income.
Wow.
This would be the perfect visa. And I would say that Thailand needs to follow up to counter this. Otherwise, a lot of the digital nomads who would love to come to Thailand
Right.
will be going there instead.
I think this is something that Thailand should definitely copy because Bali is one of the top competitors of Thailand.
That's right.
And another question I would like to ask is how do you define someone as a digital nomad? Like how would you? Everybody can call themselves a digital nomad.
Well, I think the idea is there's people who carry a laptop and a backpack and can travel around. They're sort of free and loose, and they are running a business online. So they could be selling something, they could be doing Bitcoin trading, or they could be, heaven forbid, they could be trading stocks and shares. They could be writing stories. They could be travel writers. They could be anybody who is able to run their business from a laptop.
So definitely need to have some kind of, I'm just making assumptions here as well, some documentations that can prove that you're a business nomad. So questions, let's
is
see.
a question. Is Phuket Sandbox a stepping stone for the grand opening of Thailand in October? That is from Pai Pai Mama. Does that mean anything in Thai?
ไปไปมามา
What does that mean?
ไปไป go and come
Okay.
ไปไปมามา
I was just thinking to myself, I hope that's not rude. Anyway, the answer is, well, it's not really a stepping stone, but it is the start of the reopening. So they're going to hope that we're going to get visitors coming from the sandbox and that it will form a blueprint for other areas. Now, they say on July the 15th, which is only a couple of weeks away now, that the 3 Gulf islands of Samui, Phangan and Koh Tao will be reopening under a sandbox model, under a sealed model. And then other places are also trying to get some sort of sealed route model. But as we mentioned on yesterday's program, how do you possibly seal a place like Hua Hin or Pattaya? How do you seal them? Because you can't.
So many ways to go in and out.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you can't have checkpoints at 100 different roads. Let's go to another
Very
question.
Good,
what have you got?
Very good question. Okay, let me see really quick. Questions. Dirty old man, do my posts count for a Bali visa?
No, they definitely don't. Your posts do not count for any sort of visa. But then again, if it means you go to Bali, I think that's probably a good thing. Scott D, I love Chiang Mai. Great information provided tonight. Tonight, your time. Of course, it's early morning here in Thailand. It's fascinating to think that all these different people from around the world clocking in really are from all different parts of the world and all sorts of different times. We've been looking at perhaps varying the time for this program because there are so many people from overseas interested in Thailand, and it's difficult to know exactly when to do it. But we're here at 9 a.m. in Thailand time for the moment. What else have you got there? I don't want to hear from dirty old man again today.
Okay.
Sandbox
let's
or
see.
quicksand? Will it sink or swim? A question there from Frank. Well, look, it obviously hasn't been a smooth rollout, and there's been plenty of
Here we go.
detractors, ourselves included, about the, well, complete balls up of the way it's been rolled out and then changed again, then added restrictions and more layers of complexity. But here it is. They're going to reopen Phuket tomorrow by hell or by high water, and it is what it is. And it won't work with suddenly thousands of people arriving on the first day, but they had to reopen at some stage. This is the way they're going to do it. We imagine that those restrictions will lessen as time goes by. A lot of people have called it quicksand rather than a sandbox. It is what it is. Let's see how it goes, and we'll certainly be trying to bring you the latest information about it as it rolls out.
Exactly. The only thing that I always like to suggest is stay positive and go with the flow. You'll be a much happier person if you do that. I have another question from another viewer, Andy Dwyer. I'm a Farang living in Lampang. Would like to travel to Phuket for about 5 days stay. No vaccine as yet. Would I be able to get vaccine while I am there, as I've got no chance in Lampang?
Well, the only people that have been vaccinated in Phuket have been residents.
Right.
And at the
Right.
moment, there's conflicting reports of exactly who has been vaccinated. The government stipulated that 70% of residents in Phuket would have to be vaccinated before they reopen. So no matter what the actual number is, as far as the published number is concerned, it will be 70%. I think in the last couple of days, they've been able to give a lot of people their second vaccine. And I think it should also be pointed out that just about everybody in the hospitality and the tourism industry will have been fully vaccinated. A lot of the people sort of out in disparate parts of the island that may not have had access to vaccines, but you're not really going to interface with those people anyway.
Right, but I would like to add to what Tim had to say is that if you have not had a vaccine, I believe that you need to get the test at the airport. Or if you're driving here, you will definitely need to be tested at the Saracen Bridge.
Yes, you've got to present a test,
you need to have the COVID stickers, 2 of them, to come in without having too many troubles. Because I do travel at the moment by car and I do not pass through the airport. But
can I just add to that if you were vaccinated with Sinovac, Coronavac from the Sinovac biotech company in China, then you have to have had 2 vaccines. Yes. If you've had AstraZeneca, you are allowed to travel to Phuket after having the first dose after 14 days, which is the situation I'm in because I was vaccinated on Monday and I'll be heading up to Bangkok in the next couple of weeks and then arriving back in Phuket after 14 days of having my first vaccine. So a couple of more questions and then we'll have to go. If you fly from Ubon and transit in Bangkok, do you still have to do a PCR test? If you fly from Ubon, that's up in the northeast, and transit in Bangkok, if you want to come
go through Bangkok, you have to.
You have to have a PCR test if you want to come into Phuket at the moment if you're living currently in Thailand, or be fully vaccinated, or if you've had AstraZeneca, have 1 vaccine dose and wait 14 days.
And make sure you have insurance too if you're coming from abroad. You need insurance.
Well, yes, they won't let you on the plane.
Yeah, don't forget the insurance.
Simple as that. Question, if someone gets COVID, do they track people they were near? Would you have to be tested and pay for an extra test? Look, if somebody gets COVID, it's not a good situation. You are going to be confined to a hospital or to a field hospital. That is why you get the COVID insurance before you come here.
Exactly.
And they are tracking people. Everybody arriving will have to download an app. I believe if you say, I don't have a smartphone, you'll be given a wristband which will track you. And that's really not because they care necessarily where you go in Phuket. They don't want to track you, but they're doing it for your safety. Yeah. And to be able to alert you if somebody has been infected nearby so they can alert you. That's the reason.
And another thing, when you're traveling here, please be respectful of the Thai ways. You are coming from abroad, so obviously there are different rules and regulations that you're used to from your original country, but when you come here, you have to wear a mask at all times. It's not like, for example, in the US where, I got vaccinated, I do not need to wear a mask. No, you have to wear a mask unless you're eating food. So make sure you wear a mask. Make
You
sure
tell 'em,
you,
Abel.
yeah, make sure that you are respectful, okay, and stay positive because you're a guest in the country, and just to be flexible so that you enjoy yourself while you're here.
Fly by Night asks the question: will the Phuket cat box be expanded to other areas?
Catbox.
Yes, the Sandbox is a blueprint for
Catbox.
the future of Thai tourism during this COVID pandemic. So it's important that it works, and it will be refined, and it will be rolled out, and it will basically be the blueprint for reopening Thailand sometime in October. That's the intention of the government. The way things are going, though, at the moment in Bangkok and in southern Thailand, we really don't know how that's going to roll out, whether they'll be able to meet their mid-October deadline. But fingers crossed, things will be okay.
Yes.
Got one more, and then we'll go.
This is funny. Barry Stanchuk.
Hi, Barry.
Question: do visitors receive a pail and shovel when they arrive?
For the Sandbox. Well, that'd be actually a nice sort of gift to give people at the airport, some toys for the Sandbox. I don't think so.
I have another.
Do you get plenty of nice, warm Thai smile?
I'm going to reply to this. Lucky 7. Is Abel single? I don't see a ring. I am not single. I do not accept and I'm not happy with advances. So I am married. I have 2 kids, but I do not choose not to wear anything.
How can they ask you that question? I never get asked that question.
You got asked question about your baby blue eyes
eyes
with the Thai girls earlier, remember?
All right, Abel, thank you for popping in today.
Yes, thank you, Tim.
We'll see you next week at Wire Cafe, probably.
I look forward to that if I don't travel to Chiang Mai.
Right.
Yes.
But for everybody who's joined us today, thank you very much for staying online. Been a bit of fun today, and good to find out what's happening up in Chiang Mai as well. To Jay and Jason, thank you for pushing the buttons, and to everybody else at the Tiger team for making all this possible. We look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Thanks for joining us on Good Morning Thailand.